Hello friends, welcome to Developers Tube channel. My name is Ismail Saudagar. So today we are going to discuss LINQ and C Sharp. So let's go to our topic. For accessing the data from the database or for getting the data from the XML file, we need a special query language. For storing the database, we require the database server, that is SQL server. So there are different languages for accessing the XML and SQL and database, SQL database. So for SQL Server database, we use SQL language, and for XML, there is different language. So to overcome this problem for the C Sharp programmers, means the programmers who work in the C Sharp language, there was a requirement of a language that is similar to our C Sharp coding and that can be used by the programmers. So they don't have any need of learning different query languages for accessing the data from different databases or data source like XML file or database or any other data source like array, or if we want to query the data from the collection. So that is the language that is similar to the C sharp language is introduced. LINQ, language integrated query. For querying the data from collections, XML files, and database using a C sharp like syntax, there is a technology used called language integrated query or LINQ. By using LINQ instead of writing queries in SQL, we can write the queries in C sharp. What is query? A query is an expression that retrieves data from a data source. Different data sources have different native query languages. For example, SQL for relational database and XQuery for XML. Developer must learn a new query language for each type of data source or data format that they must support. LINQ simplifies this situation by offering a consistent C# language model for kinds of data sources and formats. Why LINQ? Due to LINQ, there is no need of learning SQL for the programmers who works only on C# language. These queries are, at the time of retrieving the data, first converted into SQL query and returns the data. This translation is done by link to SQL provider. Language integrated query is the name for a set of technologies based on the integration of query capabilities directly into the C# language. With LINQ, a query is a first-class language construct just like classes, methods, and events. When you write queries, the most visible language integrated part of LINQ is the query expression. Query expressions are written in a declarative query syntax. Declarative query syntax refers to a way of writing queries using the language integrated query feature where you specify what data you want to retrieve rather than explicitly stating how to get it. System.link namespace provides classes and interfaces that support queries that use language integrated query. By using query syntax, you perform filtering, ordering, and grouping operations on data sources with a minimum of code. We use the same query expression pattern to query and transform data from any type of data source. The variables in a query expression are all strongly typed. Query expression use many familiar C# language constructs which make them easy to read. Query expressions query and transform data from any LINQ enabled data source. For example, a single query can retrieve data from an SQL database and produce an XML stream as output. A query isn't executed until you iterate over the query variable, for example, in a for each statement. All LINQ query operations consist of three distinct actions: obtain the data source, create the query, execute the query. The three parts of a LINQ query is given below. First, here we are creating an array of numbers, and these numbers are integers. So this array numbers doesn't contain any float or double value, only integers are there. So this is the data source. Data source means from where we retrieve the data, like a database or a collection or array or any XML file which contains the data. query creation. The second part is the creation of the query. So here for accessing the data from any collection or data source, here the numbers, we use first from, then we create the variable num. So this will be the end result which we want, and after that in is used, and after that we write the name of the data source. Here in our case it is numbers, so from num in numbers. Then after that we are writing where, then in bracket we are writing num modulo 2 equal to 0. Means we want to fetch the number which we divide by 2 should have the modulo 0. Means we are trying to retrieve only even numbers here, because this condition is used for even numbers. Then after that we are writing select num. Means we want to retrieve the only those numbers which are even from this numbers array, and we are storing this even number array into num query. This is the variable which we have created here. Note: LINQ only works on the types that implements IEnumerable interface. Means that we can query the data only from the collections or from the types, means user defined type or inbuilt types. Like if you are having list of employees, so here list collection is implements IEnumerable. Implements means we inherit list from this IEnumerable interface. So from that particular list, we can perform the query operation. If we are having a data type that doesn't implement IEnumerable interface, or which has not been created by inheriting it from IEnumerable, so in that particular type, we cannot query the data. Summary. So today we have covered introduction to LINQ. Then we have seen the syntax and way to write LINQ, and we have not covered practical example in Visual Studio. So in our upcoming video, I will cover the practical example, and we'll see the results of our LINQ queries against the collection and XML file, and the result which we get after querying. And also we'll cover in our next video LINQ methods. There are a number of methods which are given. So by using that particular method, we can take we can retrieve the average, we can find the max, we can find the min, and also we can check whether a particular string or value it contains or not. That type of method is supported by LINQ, that we'll see in our next video. And at last, I want to say that I have added the playlist link in the description of the video, so you can go to the playlist link and can watch more C# related videos. So at last, I want to say that thank you and bye.